Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video we're going to be moving forward with getting the enemy unit shooting fire and hopefully being able to detect if the player is inside of the fire range. So I've done a few things in advance. I've given him 2 ray casts, and I've changed the name from ray cast to ray 1 and ray 2. Ray 2 is not enabled. It's casting nowhere, and I've moved it into collision mask layer 6. I've done the same thing with ray 1. It is enabled, it's casting to minus 60, and it's casting to here as the ray that's going to detect if if the player has entered into this area. So this one detects if the player is there and goes, okay, shoot fire. I made it at minus 160 in correlation with the maximum distance of the fire. So the player would be inside of an actual range. He wouldn't be teasing on the range and able to duck in and out of that range easily. So by being a little bit closer, the player has a little less opportunity to run away when the fire is shot. So also with the fire, I took and I used a tool. I used a position 2D node that I just used temporarily. And what I did with the animation was I started at frame 0 and went all the way out to the maximum distance that the fire would go. At each frame of the animation, I moved the position 2D to the area where I figured the player would take damage. So I found the 11 different positions that I figure that the player would take damage being hit by the fire, and I entered the X value of the position of the 2D node, position 2D node, into a fire position array. So this is the values of how many pixels away from the mouth of the enemy where the origin of the fire starts from, or the ray cast would start from. These are all of the values to mark the different distances. So this one is at minus 43, which is actually right inside the mouth, whereas this one is at minus 192. So the second ray cast will cast to these values, and by doing that, be able to follow along with the distance that the fire is away from the enemy unit. And with the ray cast there, it will be able to detect if the player is taking damage. So if the player intersects with that ray cast, he'll be inside of the fire to do that and take damage. So hopefully that is a clear explanation of what this array is, how I came up with the numbers. So, and I can demonstrate very quickly, is I used a position 2D. I just grabbed that position 2D and put it into the area that I thought would be around the damage area. And I wrote down the X value into the array for each frame of the animation. So there's 11 values there. And then I just deleted the position 2D because its only purpose was a visual reference to come up with the X number to cast the second ray cast to. So hopefully that's clear. And yeah, we have the player in the same layer as the 2 ray casts are going to collide in. So we have the ray cast only picking up layer 6, and this ray cast only picking up layer 6. So that would leave us at scripting a way to get that working. And let's just have a look at how much time I took explaining that. So hopefully the explanation for that is clear. I've also changed the name of the animated sprites to just head and fire. Those will hopefully just be easier to type out. A little more descriptive. I could possibly be using more descriptive names for my raycasts, but sometimes I run dry on what names to use. So I'm going to need another variable. This variable is going to be called target. And how we'll arrive at target is target equals $ray1. Ray1 is the detector. Dot get collider. Now, if there's a collider, if something is colliding with the first raycast, it will return the collider. It will return the object. If nothing is colliding, it will return a null value. So we're going to set target to equal null. If something enters the raycast, target will have a value. So we'll go if target breathe fire. And I forgot to type in the underscore there. So backspace underscore. So now we'll need a function, breathe fire. Function, breathe fire. The first thing that it should probably do is play that head animation. So that will make the mouth open. Then we'll have a temporary variable here, or a local variable, for head underscore frame. And that will equal $head dot get frame, which will return the frame index if head frame is greater than let's say 2 shift $, head fire dot play. Okay, so that should get us to play. Now, probably on fire, we should put a signal, signal animation finished connect. So we'll put that in, fire animation finished, okay. What's the matter with that? Oh. Okay, so if head frame is greater than 2, so now we would be looking $. No, we'll need fire. That's wrong. Var fire frame equals $head fire dot get frame. shift $, ray2 dot enabled equals true, $ray2 dot cast to dot x equals fire position. I think fire position, and we would use fire frame for that index. Okay, let's see where we are for time. We're at 11 minutes, so we're pretty much just hoping this is going to work. So in debug, I've turned on visible collision shapes, and I think I have everything that needs to be here. So he should open his mouth and breathe fire in the direction of the player, is what we'll be looking for here. So let's get that playing. Okay, we have a little issue there with the fire showing and being on the wrong frame. Okay, so let's see. $head fire dot visible equals true. Visible equals true. Okay, that should get us working. Little oversight there. Okay, we'll just want to watch that ray cast. The ray cast is following along pretty good. So we can see the ray cast is sticking out. So what we would want to happen on fire animation finished is for it to disappear. I may need to set the frame. So we would be $head fire dot visible equals false. $ray2 dot enabled equals false, and $ray2 dot cast to dot x equals 0. That would get us back in order. Okay, let's check out the time here. We're in the last minute, so about the last thing to do is to get the player to jump to the other side of the enemy and see if the ray cast goes in the right direction. So we'll get on this side. The ray cast is going in the right direction. I didn't get the response from the fire becoming not visible on fire animation finished. So I'm gonna have to look into that. In the next video we'll carry on and get this guy working the rest of the way, and until then, take care.